I used to be stuck on playing video games, working my 9 to 5 construction job, always doing poker night 3 to 4 times a week, with these groups. As much as I love my poker buddies from the early 2000s, it wasn't getting me to the next level of where I wanted to go. My creativity was bottlenecked because every time I'd take a swig or sit and play another round or play another round of poker. It was postponing me pushing that dream forward.
Welcome to the Utah Business Spotlight. I'm your host, Peter Anthony. I am here with my friend, Jesse Conger. We are going to talk about something really, really cool. He is launching the coolest stuff. You know that I'm always interested in art and details and origin stories. The name of his company is called Good Days Entertainment, and they are doing some really cool things. I'm going to let Jesse take it away. Jesse.
Peter, thanks for having me. Yeah.
Man, I'm excited. What you're doing, man. You
Man.
brought us some samples. You brought us some cool stuff. It's badass.
Well, it all started just with my love of video games, and I was into, World War II, first-person shooters, racing games that were modified based off of it. And one day I was sitting in my girlfriend, now wife's apartment, and I was thinking, this would make a cool board game. And I was never huge into board games. My older brother was. Being the youngest of four, I always got wrecked. So it kind of ended up not being the...
You were never the dungeon master.
It was never me. So, but this one called to me, So I was like, I want to make a board game based off of this. So I just started writing notes, what I think would be in a board game, and creating stuff and in a notepad on my computer. And it just evolved. And years later, I published... so it started in 2014. In 2020, 2019, that's when I released a Kickstarter for my first game. And it was a little mint tin dungeon crawler race car game that's right there. And
this one, baby.
It's called Escape Death Race 2182 Micro.
I love it.
Now that one, it's a hat tip to the community of this racing mod called Interstate 1982 that I'm a part of. Mm-hmm. I'm going to drop their website. It's is82.com, real short and sweet. So 6 years into the design, I came across a website called the Game Crafter, and they had a challenge called, they produce board games. Mm-hmm. It's called the Mint Tin Challenge, and that's where you create a game that fits in a mint tin. So I had a plethora of just content and prototypes and things that I was working on, but that inspired me to just get something created. So I condensed everything I had up until that point to fit into that mint tin, and it really just, it kept the ball rolling, kept me going.
So clever, right?
Yeah, so fun.
It's so fun. Now, I heard a story, because you were a gamer online too.
Oh, yeah, since early 2000s.
And was your handle Good Day?
It was.
I have heard a lot about that, man. Tell us a little about that. How do you spend your afternoons gaming?
Oh, geez. Well, they're few and far between. But the name itself came from a Sidney Poitier Western called "It's a Good Day to Die." And I watched that when I was 12 on a ranch up in Idaho.
Oh, hence Good Day.
Hence
a good day for you to die.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
That was the full length of my handle.
Wow.
And then people would just shorten it up to call me Good Day or GD. And so that's where it came from. Is I was like, well, Good Days Games, later Good Days Entertainment. And so it's not like, hey, everyone have a good day. It's like, no, this is me, and this is the world I'm building.
And this is your company. You started with a Kickstarter startup.
Yeah.
Right, which we'll barrel through in a second. But one of the background pieces of your origin story personally was you started in construction, right? So you have this creative mind. For many of us out there who are thinking about building businesses, you probably have this creative mind. You started with this creative mind, then you went into construction, then you went into sales, and you became like the number one in the country with the company you were working with.
Yeah.
For over a decade.
Yes.
So you were making some coin in the sense that your family was living a life that was hard to acquire. You put a lot of time, work, and energy. But then you took the plunge, baby. You burned the ships.
Yes.
And came out to Utah and started this sucker full time.
That's right. And, because I was dabbling in it I was doing the two at the same time. I was able to split my attention enough to take this board game to conventions and things of that nature. The comics started coming around where I decided, hey, these characters in this in this board game are really cool. I want to go back and create a backstory on them. In 2022 is when I started with the ideas, but it wasn't until I moved up here to Utah, where it was a year ago, I actually had to scrap 2.5 issues that I'd already had created and illustrated because I just had a falling out with the artist, and it just wasn't working out. So last June, just barely, not even a year yet, I was like, okay, I'm doing this. And I flushed out the 12 scripts. I used to have an issue finding artists, but once I cracked the code of where to look for them, which they're not that hard to find.
All the artists watching are probably, you didn't look for me.
You didn't find me, or you might have.
Yeah.
I went through about 250 applicants and going through portfolios, and then I had enough bankroll to essentially at one time have all 12 issues be created simultaneously, and I have a team of about 30 artists who've created these issues. So you'll see here, this is issue number 1, and that's a team of about 4 people. But some issues have 2, some have 5. It just depends. There's different jobs that go into a comic. And ultimately, I was able to pump out, and they're almost done. They're about 90% done. 6 or 7 of them are 100% finished, ready for print and distribution, but I'm selling them as a box set. And I actually have a Kickstarter running right now. It ends on Tuesday the 9th, and it funded yesterday, and I have 4 more days left to go. So really, it's a 12-issue saga being created in one go for binge readers. They don't have to wait for issue 2 or issue 3.
Yeah,
I wanted to get it all done.
But it's binge readers. It's also collectors, because we want to have the entire set in one go, especially a Kickstarter launch. When this takes off at an even greater scale, that becomes an asset. It moves from something I've acquired to something that's an asset that grows and needs.
It really does. And this is the first saga. I struggled with the terminology. First, I was calling it a mini series, and I realized that sounds like it's going to conclude right now. But I have my plan is ultimately there's so much you can do with this universe that it's going to have wheels and legs forever.
So you went from being a highly sought after sales rep that was making crazy buku money, number 1 in the country. Then you changed into, you are now an editor, a publisher, the artistic director, the CEO, and all the other things in between. You're the author.
Yes, for now.
But incredible. You're wearing a lot of creative hats. It had to be a daunting task.
It still is. Oh yeah. Every day I just to say, man, I really want this thing to take, it has legs, but it needs to have wings. And in order for it to have wings, I just got to keep running with every element that's required of me and get enough eyes on it and just shout it out to the moon and the stars. And eventually, with enough diligence, people are going to say, oh yeah, let's send this flying because it deserves its shout out, its calling. That's what I'm going to keep working towards.
Oh, you have to follow your dream. And I think as an entrepreneur, it's so important that you're comfortable figuring out that which you do not know until you need to know it. You can't quit during the moments that you hit this, because it's not really a wall. It's a door. You've got to figure out where the handle is and walk through it.
It's like it's a ceiling, and once you go through it, you're on a new floor, and you're not going to go below it.
I love it, man. So what inspired the characters? First, who's the lead character?
The lead character for the comics is Cammy Zucca, and what's ironic about it is she wasn't in the game. The game consists of 6 playable characters, and then when I was starting to create the story, I was like, you know what, I need something fresh to think about, something I haven't seen yet. So I created a cadet. She's a recruit to this death race league, and her parents were murdered by a kingpin. He's a tyrant, an evil tyrant, and ultimately she gets recruited onto this into this vigilante league at a young age, and where she does have revenge in her heart, and she wants to fulfill that. But the story ultimately starts with her and how she became who she is, and essentially what these people do is there's a death race league. That's what the world's popular sport is, where I think Mad Max meets Fast and the Furious, eventually meets Guardians of the Galaxy because it has this fantasy twist to it. And ultimately, there's the league owner or runner. Her name's Rebecca Jones, and her husband, Mr. Montier Jones. There's a character named Regad who's kind of like he's like the main mechanic of the group. There's another new recruit named Ariel. She's a Japanese tech wizard with her drone. And there's a rotten apple in the league.
Of course.
His name's Shooter McGavick. And all these, and then of course there is a character named Good Day. So he's in there as well. And that, I believe, rounds out the 7. And then there's a lot of supporting characters in this. So these were all named Rebecca Jones. She's named after my wife, Becky. But all the other characters are named after people I played with in the game, Interstate 82, for the most part. And then so there's just throwback after throwback of nods to that community with location names, character names, just terminology. So it's really special for them, but it's vague enough to where the masses will still just have a blast reading it.
I love it. It's so cool. Where do you find your inspiration?
Well, it gushes through both sides of my family. Art. My father was an artist. My mom's an artist. It's kind of inherent. And so really anything I'm looking at and doing, really these games, that was the inspiration, was me saying, hey, this could make a good game. Now I'm at a point where this can make a good novel or screenplay. I want to see this on Netflix. I want to get to that level. And that's the route I'm going. And I'm really not going to stop until I get there. So it's just a passion. And it's that itch that just won't be satisfied until I get it to the next stage. And then it just creates a whole new level.
I love it, man. And you've got to be in that space. You've got to find something you're passionate about, find ways to fund it, and then find ways to grow it. So when did you know that your passion was going to become a business?
Early on. It was really right after I started making the board game, and I'm starting to make content on YouTube about lessons I've learned, mistakes I've made along the way, for comic books, board games as well, because sometimes you just get ahead of yourself and there's things that you want to take care of now, even though there's a certain order of operations that you're going to do it right. For example, I wanted to form an LLC right away. And even though I hadn't even finished the rules for my board game, and I soon learned that, I don't need to worry too much about that. Don't worry about someone stealing all my ideas. Just worry about creating something. And so I knew right away that this was going to be a business, because I jumped on to, went to LegalZoom and opened up an LLC. And
see,
next thing I know,
happens. You just know, right? It's like, oh my, this is it. It's almost like when you find the right significant other. You just look and you're like, oh, I know this is comfortable. This is moving in the direction that I want to end up in.
That's exactly how I felt. It's like I knew it from the beginning that, I'm never going to just wake up and not decide that this isn't, important to me or entertaining enough for me to quit. And even when it gets hard, like you said, you push through those hard moments, seek that discomfort and get through it. And the next thing you know, you're just that much better and stronger. Jesse,
you've done a couple of really cool things beyond opening your business. You've also, you created the game. A game is not easy to create because it's really a universe. It's an ecosystem that has a life of its own. So you are that author. You're also the artistic director. But here's what I find fascinating from a business standpoint. You've had a really good Kickstarter.
Well, I actually had I would say no. I had a barely got by Kickstarter.
Oh, yeah. Tell us about it.
Well, it wasn't enough. The marketing hat. That's the one thing. We talked about all the different things you have to do. Mm-hmm. Marketing is huge. I'd say that's right up there with the creation of everything, because you need to properly build your tribe, your community, get people, share with everyone what you're doing early on, and offer your advice, your experience, and share with others, and just. You have to be a giver too. It's not all about here. Hey, look at me. This is what I'm doing here. Like, get involved with what other people are doing, and I'm doing that a lot more. So ultimately, that was where I still struggle today. Is just is the marketing element. Yeah, I could run an A/B test, or I could set up some Google Analytics and do that. But that grassroots of getting out there and talking to people is, to me, that's number one. And conventions have helped out a ton with that.
Yeah. We'll set you up with some people out here that'll just crush it for you. What was the biggest hurdle you had to overcome?
I would say just staying consistent. Sometimes it's easy to, get distracted with things around the house. Obviously, it's all important to do, but you have to juggle. when I was still working for my previous employer, that was a big thing. Obviously, it's very important that I stick to, don't quit my day job to start this yet. But ultimately, you have to give yourself enough time. So waking up earlier than you normally would, going to bed later than you normally would, but also finding that balance to where you're not burning your candle on both ends and you're just tired and exhausted. So that was always been the biggest thing for me.
Was it hard because you were the number one sales rep in the country, right? Which is a big deal. Like when you're number one at anything, it's a big deal. And you're doing it for a decade. You wake up and you're like, today's going to be my last day. How do you get?
That felt so weird. That was a real, and not only that, 12 days later, give or take, I moved out of state. So there was a lot happening. I give all the love and respect to my wife for being on board with me for this. So,
how
shout
important
out to you.
Is that?
So important. But her believing in me was also inspiring me to keep going, and just knowing that this is where, I'm not gonna. It's not gonna kill me making this decision. I've came up from this before. I got to this point before, as far as if you want to say on a financial. But it was more than financial. Getting to that level with my, in sales, it was a confidence booster. It made me feel so much more capable of doing something like that over again. And I feel like that's what I'm doing now in the board game arena and the comic book arena, the entertainment arena as well. So, it felt liberating. And I'd worked up to that feeling for about a year and a half of knowing that it was going to happen. So when the day actually came, I was really ready for it.
I love it, man. And you see, so many entrepreneurs are never born. Great ideas die with people who are too afraid to take the first step towards the idea, and you have to break free of who you were so that you can become who you were born to be. And I know that struggle probably shows up in the context of your I'm going to call it your universe that you're building, right? You're building a comic book universe that's played out in a board game. Dude, that's so cool, right? You've got all the pieces, man.
Well, right now, you touched on something I want to mention, but also on that note, the board games, because this comic book series, the Legendary Stratos League is what it's called. It's the prelude to the board game. So it's my pitch is read the story, play the finale. And that micro version in front of you, I'm actually expanding it to the one I started in 2014 that I condensed. It's still there, it still exists, and it's coming out. It's the same title, Escape Death Race 2182, but it's macro. And that I brought Cammy Zucca into that game because she deserves her spot.
Cool.
And so the events of the final issue take place in that game right there. But I'm making it a bigger, I call it a space, instead of a space opera, it's a race opera.
Interesting. So for marketing, what you've done is you've tied multiple experiences together so that you can layer your product sales. Very clever.
What you mentioned previously, and thank you, is one hurdle I came over was what got me better at sales. And that is, I used to be stuck on playing video games, working my 9-to-5 construction job, always doing poker night 3 to 4 times a week, with these groups. As much as I love my poker buddies from the early 2000s, it wasn't getting me to the next level of where I wanted to go. My creativity was bottlenecked because every time I'd take a swig or sit and play another round or play another round of poker. It was postponing me pushing that dream forward.
Right. Yeah, never postpone your dreams. No. Because you never know when you're going to have the time to do them or accomplish them. The time is now. Yeah. Better time would have been yesterday.
Agreed. Yeah, that's the best time to plant a tree is right now or 20 years ago.
Yeah. So give a piece of advice to the young people, man. What would you say to your younger self if you could have started this 20 years earlier?
I'm going to look at the camera for this one. Just focus and don't listen to all the noise. And, there's so much signal within you of what you want to do and what you're passionate about doing. So just pursue it and don't let a day go by. That's what I got.
Oh, man, I love it. One note to your audience. Hey, man, why should I pick that up and play it?
You know what? It's an adventure worth taking, and it's just cram-packed full of over 30 artists, endeavors, and so much just energy is in this that you're gonna love it.
So you have a launch coming out on Tuesday.
I have a launch ending on Tuesday.
Oh, ending on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So after Tuesday,
Yes.
if you're watching this and it's after Tuesday, which it probably will be, tell us, where can we find that?
Go on to my website. It's Good Days Games. That's plural. gooddaysgames.com. And I'm gonna have I'll open up some pre-orders for that.
Cool. And they're able to buy the stack?
Yeah, it's coming in a box set, and they could buy them. We'll go individual issues as well, but there's a box set that's available.
The box set, baby. That's
Yeah.
what you need to buy. Don't waste your time. Buy the box set and buy all the issues. So this way you can flip through the issues, but you got the box set in mint condition, man. Put it aside. It's going to be an asset one day.
That's right.
You.
Yeah.
So thank you, Jesse, for taking the time. And it was an honor, and it was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. I can't believe we
Thanks,
just
Peter.
did 25 minutes, bro.
Yeah.
That was a long time of questions,
Goes
and you're
by
a
quick,
killer.
man.
Everybody, this is happening in Utah, man. Do yourselves a favor. Help local Utah businesses. Like, subscribe, share, tell stories, get in touch with us, get on the Utah Business Spotlight. We can't wait to see you. I'm Peter Anthony. I'm your host. This is my friend Jesse. We love you.